I want to talk to you guys about the fake news because this is a really funny story and we have the ability to debunk it. We have the story from the times.co.uk. Quote, just like a mob meeting.
What?
Trump's curious golf course confab sets tongues wagging. What was this? Donald Trump having a secret meeting on a golf course with no golf clubs? I wonder who was at the secret meeting. Well, Newsweek reports something about rumors that those who joined Trump at the course, of course, were Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy of Fox News, Sean Hannity, and former Congressman turned CEO of Truth Social, Devin Nunes. Wait a minute. Dun, dun. Well, that's just rumors. What about this? Raw story. Correction. A previous version of the story alleged that Devin Nunes, Kevin McCarthy. Oh, okay. All right. Well, what about this Daily Dot? You know, the Daily Dot just points out with a tweet. They don't actually state it themselves. He has not been photographed golfing. He's photographed with McCarthy, Nunes, Eric, Trusty, Hannity, and others standing in the rain on a golf course with no clubs and no golf shoes. Apparently, that tweet was enough to get Raw Story to report that it was a fact and for Newsweek to run the rumor that these people were there. This would have to mean, Mr. Nunes, that you can in fact teleport.
Yes. Actually, I'm there. If you look in the tree, see that picture there?
In the tree.
In the tree.
If you just look behind there,
hiding.
You
that
can't.
Right there.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's
So
suit.
see, they were close but wrong. So this is funny because this story went viral. They claimed all these people were there. You weren't there.
No. In fact, it was. So I was actually commuting from California back east, and I was actually headed to Washington D.C. And I had a long delay in Dallas. At the Dallas airport, I got, like everybody's getting now, but I ended up supposed to be there 2 hours. I was there like 6 hours.
So you're in Dallas. How did you feel when you found out you were actually in D.C. on a golf course?
Well, that's at night. All of a sudden, my phone blows up with these stories. And then I'm like, what in the hell is this? And then I'm reading, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. And I'm trying to get on, and then I get on the airplane, and then I fly, and then I don't get into Washington until it was actually 2:30 when I landed, a.m. And then the next morning, my phone is blowing up. I'm like, what in the hell is this? So yeah, I was clearly right there in those trees.
Yeah.
So I was in Dallas and there at the same time.
Magical.
Well, people need to understand that the issue is if you jumped from Dallas to DC, then the Paladins would track you down, tracing your jump scar, and it'd be very dangerous for jumpers like Devin.
What's that from?
It's from Jumper.
Okay.
It's a movie about people who can teleport.
Yeah.
I wonder who got that reference. Hayden Christensen, I think, was in it. He was the main guy, right?
I don't know that movie. I was thinking of the dude from the X-Men that could teleport.
Oh,
Morph?
Yeah.
No, not Morph. Nightcrawler. Why did I think Morph? Why did I say that?
Yeah, he was a good character, by the way. I don't know what
Nightcrawler?
he only made it in like a couple of the X-Men movies.
Nightcrawler?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. His fight scene in X-Men 2 was awesome.
Yeah.
Fighting and teleporting at the same time.
Yeah.
So this is amazing.
But he disappeared. Like he's not. He wasn't in the last movies.
Is he not in it? They rebooted it.
I only saw him like twice.
I think he might be. He's a good character.
Are they going to bring him back?
I have no idea.
Well, did you know Colonel Harvey is like a Nightcrawler too?
Oh yeah.
That's right. Yeah, because you
too.
guys were able to. This was a bigger jump. You went from where? From Italy or from where were you?
We were meeting dirty Russians and Ukrainians in where were we?
Vienna. We were in Vienna.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So okay.
Yes.
So the media claims you were in Vienna.
The story's still up, by the way. You can go to CNN. The story's up. I'm not making this up. You can.
And the crazy left believes it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's still up. It hasn't been taken down.
Blue and on.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Is this one the Giuliani associate willing to tell Congress Nunes met with ex-Ukrainian official to get dirt in Biden?
Yep, that's the one.
This is amazing. It's amazing. These journalists don't bother asking you. They just run it. I mean, I'm saying that more rhetorically. I don't know if they literally called you over this, but I've dealt with stories. What happens is one journalist will write a fake story. They'll wait 15 minutes and then redact. They'll stealth edit it. But by then, all the other outlets will have already picked it up and take plausible deniability and say, we weren't, there's no actual malice. We were just repeating what, NBC or what this other outlet said.
Yeah.
So we assumed it was true.
I would love to go to Vienna, Austria. I've never been there, ever.
Well, we know this. So this story actually, so these guys, so I sued CNN and they skated, right? And so the fake news will report that I lost this lawsuit. But what they do is they use technicalities. And so they got a judge to agree that even though this all occurred and impacted me in Washington, D.C., with intelligence agencies overseas, And how they got out of it is they said that no, California law applied, and I didn't do my retraction notice in time. That's how they got out of this. That's why that story is still alive.
CNN's California base.
No. Unprecedented, never been done before.
You're in California, that's
a
why.
judge ultimately got transferred. The case got, long story, but it got transferred to New York, and a New York judge, Democrat appointed judge, said for the first time that I know of that California law applies to me, even though I was a federal official, chairman of the House Intelligence Committee in Washington.
But look.
That's how they get out of it.
It's not just that. It's that the story is that Giuliani associate is willing to tell Congress that you did this. And they're like, well, that's a factual statement. It doesn't mean it actually happened. It means someone is willing to say it happened. That is, you want to know how it works? I love this. You'll get a story and it'll say source close to Nancy Pelosi's office claims that, she's planning to meet with Vladimir Putin or Donald Trump or something. And then people go, oh, wow, a source close to her office. And the source close to her office is a homeless guy sleeping in the alley. He is close to her office. That was all true.
Correct.
Can't sue him for fake news because it's literally the truth. And the truth is an affirmative defense.
The funny thing about this guy is, though, these CNN and these reporters, so this is a guy named Parnas, who he had tried to, so Colonel Harvey was my investigator, right? So when people would have, when they would have things that they want us to look at, and, we would take all comers, right? So Derek would have to meet everyone. Well, this guy came to us and said, he had all kinds of information. Of course, he didn't have anything. And so Derek met with him a couple times. And then this guy, he was described by CNN as a wolf in sheep's clothing. So they know he's a liar. He's now in jail, by the way.
Yeah.
He's now in jail. And this guy went on, and the Democrats would repeat this garbage.
Right.
About me, about Derek. And they knew. So when you talk about teleporting, we were actually, it's kind of funny. And we later were able to say this because I filed it in court. We were actually in Libya. So what must have happened is they leaked that they knew we were on international travel because we were traveling on behalf of the government, and we were the first delegation.
I think someone from Hipsy leaked it.
Probably so.
Adam Schiff's people.
Yeah. But we were actually in Libya meeting with Haftar, pretty damn dangerous place. We were in Benghazi.
Wow.
We were in Benghazi, and these bastards run this story, and they run this story, to just dirty us up.
And they didn't bother asking you.
I don't even remember if they did or not. I think they asked for an interview. But what I do after 2017, when they accused me of being a Russian agent, like if you accuse me of being a Russian agent, like until you retract that story, I don't talk to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
And with
I'm not going to talk to them.
And with Lev Parnas, I investigated. I looked at all the information, made a few inquiries over a period of 6 weeks because it wasn't constant. It's just intermittent over a period of time because you got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I came to Devin. I said, this is a dead end. This guy's not trustworthy.
Yeah. And then they released, I don't know if you guys remember, this is when Schiff released my phone records.
That's right.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
also John Solomon too, right?
Yeah, a bunch of people. He
that's
released a bunch of those
crazy.
phone numbers. Yeah. So, and we couldn't, if you call back in the day, and this is how all members of Congress, I think, if they're doing their job, if somebody calls in, like if you were to call in to your congressman's office today, hopefully you would get a call back within 2 or 3 days. And so in this case, poor Harvey was, this guy calls in, I tell Harvey to call the guy. And then all of a sudden, these phone records are released as if Harvey's now done something bad because he's just calling somebody back that had information that said was relevant. That's his job.
Yeah. That's crazy that he released the private information of a journalist.
Yeah. How about me, his colleague? And
Well,
him.
yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But,
Have you had John Solomon on, by the way?
Not
Ever
yet.
on?
No.
Not yet.
Well, he's great.
How's the trip to Libya, though? Right? That place isn't really known for its international visitors.
How would you describe it? It kind of looked like a hellscape.
A little surreal. A little
Yeah.
surreal.
I mean, slavery.
It kind of looked when we landed there was the Russians were on one side of the
boy.
airport.
Yeah.
Strong start.
And then, but it did look like, I thought I saw the devil out there with a pitchfork and a sign that said, "Welcome to hell."
Oh,
I
now
thought
we
I
got
saw
the
it.
conspiracy. We're working with the Russians. We really went to Benghazi to work with the Russians.
There you go. Heard it here
Well,
first.
now you're admitting it.
Yeah.
How did Russia come to be the villain, Is it because of the pipeline? Is it because of Gazprom? Is it because of Ukraine? Because I certainly think China's a bigger
Oh
threat.
no, they loved Russia. Okay, so this is the damn, everybody asked me how did you know that the Russia stuff was nonsense? it was really easy. And of course, the fake news has ignored this the whole time. So in 2013 or 12, 13, 14, the Russians were pushing Obama around. And remember, I'm on the intelligence committee. I worked really closely with our Eastern European allies like Poland and Romania and others. And remember, the Russians, like, suddenly they were in Libya doing everything. Suddenly they were in Syria doing things. Suddenly they overtake Crimea with little green men. So I'm involved in all this, and we couldn't get the Obama administration to do a damn thing. They would not do anything to the Russians. They just wouldn't deal with them. So you can imagine. So in the spring of 2016, and just for the time reference, this is when the Obama-Biden administration are working with the Clinton campaign that begin investigating Trump and Republicans to tie them to Russia. Okay, I have no idea that's going on, but in the spring of 2016, I went out and made, which is a really important statement at the time. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee said, "Look, the biggest intelligence failure since 9/11 is our failure to understand Putin's plans and intentions." So this is the biggest intelligence failure since then. So I say that at the same time that they are painting us with being some kind of Russian agent. So you can imagine after the election when they come and say, "Oh, the Russians were trying to help Trump and Republicans." What the hell are you talking about? You guys haven't done any damn thing about Russia. I said, this is a lie. I've never seen, because I was actually paying attention to what Putin was doing. They weren't.
Yeah. Well, Putin was building his sphere of influence and alliance with the Syrian government. But when Barack Obama was in power, there was even serious talks of Barack Obama potentially launching an invasion or an attack on Syria. And then it was General Flynn that came out and actually whistleblowed and talked about how the United States was funding radical Islamists inside of that region. And I think there's been a massive payback against him for that. So there's a lot of also complicated geopolitical maneuvers in all of this. If you remember, I remember the Russians also intervened and sent their battleships to prevent U.S. warships from being off the coast of Syria, from potentially launching more missile strikes. I remember there was protests there. What do you remember for that? What do you remember from that time? Because a lot of people thought we were very close to a war with Syria.
I think you're actually missing one of the most important data points. Do you remember the time that Obama leaned over before the election when he was running against Mitt Romney, and at the time he was talking to the Russian president, which I can't think of his name now,
Medvedev.
Yep. And he said, and he's on a hot mic, and he says, "Tell Vladimir I have to wait till after the election, or something like that.
I'll have more flexibility.
Yeah, more flexibility."
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest issue.
Collusion.
Yeah.
I love the classification narrative they're doing now, because the implication is the president doesn't have the ability to declassify documents unilaterally. And the point I make is, imagine the president of the United States meeting with the president of Russia and them saying, it's time to negotiate a de-escalation of these nuclear weapons. And he goes, I wish I could, but I don't have the ability to declassify what our weapons are, so I can't tell you. It's classified, sorry. Maybe there's some higher authority in the United States that can tell me what I'm allowed to tell you, and then we'll negotiate. That's an insane prospect.
Well, that's what we dealt with. I mean, that's why people have to remember in 2017, we knew nearly right away. I just went through the story of how I knew, why I knew. I knew they were full of shit. But I definitely knew that this was a problem when I found out that the Clinton campaign, had paid for this dossier. And you know how long it took? Crazy. You know how long it took for us to get that out to the public? We knew that for 9 months.
And you couldn't release it?
No, if you remember, they were trying to investigate me.
Yeah.
Remember, they put me under an ethics investigation? Remember that? They were going after all of my team, all of our lawyers, everyone. So they were looking for any way. And remember, Trump is under investigation by Mueller, the Mueller witch hunt crew. So, I mean, they've got an army of G-men, DOJ, with a special counsel authority. I'm sitting there in Congress with under investigation because they said I was leaking intelligence. It took us that long to get that information out to the public. And if you go back in time, if you remember in that February timeframe of 2018, remember they said, people are gonna die if Nunes releases this memo. It's gonna be horrible. And then like the next day it came out, oh, this is no big deal. The Clinton campaign, everybody knew that.
Nice.
And they did. The fake news did know that the Clinton campaign, but none of us knew. The American public didn't know.
The attitudes, Tim, is so similar to Remember Vindman when he was testifying? And he basically said that the
Maybe for the audience, though, Vindman, you got to
Vindman was the lieutenant colonel whistleblower.
Yeah.
Right.
Complainer that led to the Ukrainian impeachment issue. And he thought it was so important that the president was possibly betraying, and doing things that the interagency didn't want. Vindman said that the interagency dictates what the president should be doing. That it's not the president who determines foreign policy. It's the interagency.
Yep. That's crazy. Do you think that Vindman is a useful idiot, or do you think he's willfully malicious?
Both.
Both?
I was going to say an idiot who's malicious.
That's crazy.
He's not smart enough to be he's not very talented, but he's definitely a useful idiot.
Well, they wanted him to be the Minister of Defense for Ukraine, according to him.
Yeah.
Getting ready for the war.
But that's what shows you is a useful idiot. Those Ukrainians, they thought, here's a dumbass that we can bribe. Let's tell him that we want him to be the defense
So what do you guys think about the Joe Biden, if the prosecutor's not fired, that whole thing? I mean, do you guys know stuff that we don't? I've done quite a bit of research into the whole Ukraine Gate scandal, and it really does seem like right now, especially with Hunter Biden's laptop, that Joe Biden's involved in illicit business dealings, that he's using his son as a proxy. That's what it seems like. And I have to wonder now, with the billions that are being dumped into Ukraine, is this Joe Biden paying good on his debts?
I knew you were a Russian asset. That's what I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
You're repeating Russian disinformation.
That's right. Yeah, just real quick, I love how Politico reported, I think it was in early 2017, that Ukrainian officials colluded to help the Democrats win the election. Were embarrassed and scrambling now that Donald Trump won. And then a few years later, one of their reporters said, actually, that story was Russian disinformation, yet they still haven't retracted the initial report. How can your outlet simultaneously report both things?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, look, they haven't retracted that report, the one that's still up on the screen there.
Yeah.
Real quick on Burisma timeline. I'd just like to run through it real quick for you because I think it matters about the call for firing the prosecutor. The White House under Obama had a conference with Ukrainian officials in late January. And on the offsite of that conference at the old executive office building, they were addressing corruption, and they asked the state prosecutor representatives there to back off the Burisma investigation. A week later, back in Ukraine, they conducted a raid of the Burisma headquarters and the president of the Burisma company's home. That led to at least 8 phone calls over the next 10 days between President Biden and President Poroshenko of Ukraine, which then subsequently led to a trip coordinated by Eric Ciaramella to Ukraine, where they put the hammer down saying, we need the investigation of Burisma ended. They masked it under corruption, saying that the state's attorney was corrupt. That's when they threatened to withhold IMF funding. That same prosecutor that they're asking to be fired for corruption had gotten an award from the United States at the end of 2015 for being a stellar prosecutor.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we would have, the Hunter Biden laptop, I mean, if you and I and your team here decide tonight that we're just going to start doing crack cocaine, bringing some prostitutes or whatever, the FBI will be knocking on your door tomorrow morning.
Yeah, lying on our taxes, lying on the government gun form.
Throwing a gun in the garbage outside of a school? Behind a school or something? That's crazy.
Show some guns here, do some crack, and they'll be here in 24 hours.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.